This digital story explores employability barriers faced by Chinese international students studying social science in Sydney. Many Chinese international students in Sydney work hard, speak English every day, and earn strong grades in social science. Yet, when job searching starts, the same phrases appear again and again: local experience, communication skills, culture fit. This story asks a simple question: if skills matter, why do so many capable students still feel locked out? We focus on Chinese international students in social science, fields like communication, media, linguistics. In Sydney, these graduates often target jobs in media industry, business, government, and marketing. These roles are highly language and relationship-based, and that is where employability becomes more than a skill list. To see how this feels in real life, we spoke with some Chinese international students who major in different social sciences in the University of Sydney. We also interview a professional HR who works in Shanghai to learn about the standards of recruitment in China.
Hello, Yunxiang. Thank you for joining this interview. And the first question is, what's your major? Are you majoring in social science?
Yeah, I major in cross-culture and applied linguistics.
What kind of roles did you apply for? And what feedback did you receive when you want to work in Sydney?
I applied for some high school teaching internships, but the interviewers preferred native speakers and those with teaching experience in Australia, so I haven't been successful yet.
What does local experience mean to you in practice?
Well, in practice, local experience feels like a shorthand for being eligible to the Australian system. When I applied for the teaching internship, I had tutoring experience and strong academic results, but I was told they preferred someone with Australian classroom experience. What that really meant was familiarity with the local curriculum, school routines, child safety requirements, and the specific way teachers communicate with students and parents there. It was just about teaching ability. Like it was about proving I couldn't fit into local institutional expectations. And the problem is that you often can't get the experience unless someone gives you the first chance. So local experience becomes a gatekeeping signal. It means it looks objective, but it privileges people who already have access to local school and the networks. And it makes international students like me feel constantly not yet qualified, even our skills are transferable.
Hello, kids. Thank you for joining this interview. The first question is, what's your major?
I major in media practice.
I know you wanted to search an internship in Sydney. So what kind of role did you apply for, and what feedback did you receive?
Actually, I applied for internship in the media industry, and I'm in offensing, but I'm pretty proficient in using these editing tools like PR and ALR. But the position was eventually finally given to a student that was internally recommended in the organizations.
Okay. Have you ever felt network in Sydney was judged as a competence?
Yes, definitely. So when I applied for a media internship in Sydney, I realized that networking was treated almost like a skill. So I reached for the final stage, but the feedback said I was qualified, and another candidate was chosen because they had an internal reference, someone who could vote for them. So at that moment, I felt that competence was not only about my portfolio or my interview performance, but also about access to the right connections. So as an international student, I did not grow up with local networks, and I was unsure how to build them quickly in a short time.
To understand this issue from another angle, I spoke with an HR professional in Shanghai. Our earlier interviews focused on students' experience in Sydney, but this helps us see how a different system decides who is seen and employable. So it's not only about individual experience, but also about how the system works. The interview is an HR professional based in Shanghai. I asked her how companies in China evaluate fresh graduates, what makes someone suitable for a role, and how overseas graduates are generally viewed in the job market. Okay. Hi, Ms. Lu, and welcome to today's interview. So, in your experience, what are the most important factors when hiring fresh graduates in China?
There are several key points. First is education, like whether the major matches the job. Then internship experience, because it shows some real workplace exposure. We also care about practical skills, communication, and whether the person seems ready to adapt to a working environment.
Okay, so how do you usually evaluate whether a candidate is searchable for a role?
When we talk about whether someone is suitable, we really mean if they can fit the role and work well with the team. Skills matter, of course, but we also look at attitude, communication, and whether they understand how the workplace works. For entry-level roles, we usually hope they can learn quickly and start contributing early.
And how are overseas graduates usually perceived in the Chinese job market?
Overseas graduates are often seen as having some advantages, like stronger language skills, a broader perspective, and more confidence. But some employers still have concerns, like if the candidates understand the local workplace culture or whether they can adapt to a fast-paced team. So, being an overseas graduate can be both an advantage and a bit of question mark.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
When we compare Sydney and Shanghai, the expectations are quite different. Sydney focuses more on things like networking and cultural fit, while Shanghai looks more at education and experience. So employability isn't the same everywhere. It depends on the systems, and the students often have to adapt. What this interview shows is that employability isn't just about individual ability. It also depends on how different systems define what counts as being qualified or ready. As people move across cultures, they often have to adjust to different expectations. So employability is not just personal, it's also shaped by the system.
As we have seen, employability isn't just a personal checklist of skills, it's a systematic construct. The Sydney and Shanghai interviews reveal how being employable means fitting into very different socio-semiotic conditions. In Sydney, the demand of local experience sounds objective, but it strongly positions international students as a subaltern, constantly on the outside, looking in. But if systems construct these barriers, they can also be challenging. This brings us to positive discourse analysis. How do we turn a closed gate into a password? Change is being at the international level. According to a 2025 University of Sydney report, there is a growing push for employers and universities to provide structured mentoring, inclusive internship, and a target career support. When students are given a real project or a local referee, the discourse shifts. Local experience is no longer an invisible trait you must magically possess. It becomes a material condition that can be systematically built. Furthermore, access is created through student agency. By forming peer networks, students are actively decoding the hidden curriculum of the Australian workplace. They learn how to translate their overseas background into local legible evidence. Drawing on Mahboob's writings on subaltern practice, we see how this reframes the meaning-making process of recruitment. Students are not just assimilating, they are renegotiating their subaltern status, turning a multilingual background from a perceived deficit into a highly recognized professional asset. As Chinese international students in Sydney, we are not detached observers of this phenomenon. We live within these overlapping power structures. For me, personally, balancing my roots in China with my current reality in Australia, translating a multinational background into local valued currency is a daily practice. The core question isn't just how we can secure a job, it's how we can reshape the discourse so that diverse subaltern voices are recognized, valued, and empowered from the very beginning. Thank you.